We introduced some infill method for revolve slicing. The most common is concentric infill, which will produce concentric polylines that fill the volume of the revolved shape. The default method is constant thickness, where the overlap percentage is automatically adapted in order to avoid any possible gap. Otherwise, constant thickness and constant overlap may produce some gap. Another approach is to use a constant overlap, where the thickness of the lines may change in order to ensure the 100% infill. An example for this if we check now the line thickness, we may see that we have some variations that change in order to ensure the 100% infill. If now I use the same thickness, like maximum 5 mm, then it will adjust automatically the thickness of the lines in order to fit this range that we just specified. So when possible, we use 5 mm, otherwise it will use a lower value. Another approach to ensure 100% infill is, for example, to use the weaving. When we use weaving, let's say we have 3 mm line thickness, and we have a minimum overlap percentage, which is 0%, and a maximum that could be, for example, 20% of overlap. The maximum overlap you will have usually internally on the inside, where the radius is smaller, while the minimum overlap percentage is what you will have externally. So if we now inspect our infill, you see that we have this zigzag infill that ensure the full solid parts. At some point, according to the specified values, it may happen that we introduce a second weaving infill. This ensures that we are never gonna exceed the boundaries for the overlap percentage that we want in order to ensure a more uniform infill pattern. In case we use an even smaller value, this may create even more weaving. If we slide through the object now, you see that in some parts it has 2, then it may go to 3, sometimes even 4, depending on the thickness and the specified overlap percentage that we can afford. Another strategy is ribs. In this case, the infill is not 100%, and we can specify what is the minimum contact length, meaning what is the contact between the ribs and the wall, probably in the smallest layer, probably in this case at the base. And the rib distance is basically controlling the angle. So if we just generate the ribs in that way, let's use 5 mm minimum contact length. You will see ribs shapes that follow the geometry. The difference with the weaving infill is that in this case there is continuity along the geometry. Indeed, if we hide the outer wall, you may see that the geometry is continuous. We can tune the settings. For example, we can use a minimum rib distance that could be, let's say, 6 mm. And we have now an angle. Remember that those values are probably going to be used in the inner circle of the smallest layer. So keep that in mind. Thank you.